Hello guys, we're Team Covenant and we're here with the newest Netrunner data pack. Depending on when you're watching this, that could be a complete lie, but it is called First Contact. And this is not our first contact with the pack. That is amazing.
Hey-o.
I'm glad that I did that. We've been playing with this one for a little while and we kind of had a chance to look at these cards and check them out. Aside from Zach, I think, which is pretty standard protocol at this point. Although you're really working through this Weyland deck now, which I'm excited to see.
I'm on a quest. I'm on a quest to make Weyland good.
You started the quest with like you didn't want to change the deck that you had from like 6 years ago, which is the ultimate Zach thing, by the way. He stays so behind in the meta that when you play him, it's like I haven't seen any of these cards in a year, and then you lose. But you wanted to stick with your old Weyland deck, and then you'll start making some changes, and maybe some of these cards in here will spark your interest.
Yeah,
certainly they should.
Yeah, someone the other day was talking to me about the Crisium grid.
Yeah.
I hope I said that right. And I was like, the what? And he was telling me, and then I was like, I just saw it here now. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Didn't know there's a new pack.
Well, we're going to kick this thing off with the HB cards, as we often do, and I'm going to dive right in with IQ.
I think it's pronounced ick.
A new piece of ice, 0 strength, 0 cost. Well,
Love it.
Price is right there. The res cost is increased by 1 for each card in HQ, and it has +1 strength for each card in HQ.
Woo!
In the run, subroutine.
This card is good.
Oh, it's good, man. It's real good.
At worst, it's a 5 cost, 5 strength in the run.
Code.
Like that's generally where it would be.
Yeah.
No.
And that's wicked.
Which is good.
Yeah.
And you can't click through it.
Code gates are hard at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not a real good answer to them.
But then at best,
Gordian.
it's like a 28 strength code gate out of cerebral imaging.
Cerebral.
Yeah, this is terrifying, that cerebral.
It's just awful.
The problem with the out of cerebral is it's expensive to res. So you want to draw it early, get it res early, or oversight, or
yeah.
I mean, I'd oversight a 28 strength.
That's just hard.
think.
You know, it's like you have to have those old school answers for ice like this. You've got to have your Femme Fatales, or you've got to have.
Femme destroys this.
I mean, not even like a card like Knight.
Sort of.
Knight does nothing to this.
If they
David, I mean, is kind of cool for the new Anarch suite.
The thing about Femme is like, okay, used your Femme on this?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's
there's
horrible
no
to
choice.
have to
That's
do.
not I mean,
you
it's
don't
what Femme
want
is
to.
for.
I know, but you don't want to.
I don't want
Ideally,
to.
I will never install a Femme.
I don't want to Femme anything, ideally.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's a good little piece of ice. It scales appropriately. Sometimes it's going to be an incredible bargain where Cerebral like reses this first turn. I really wonder if it's going to be the kind of thing where you can't run on Cerebral early because of the risk that they don't have their hand size up yet, and so this is just too cheap. Like, is that even a thing to consider?
Yeah, this is interesting on Cerebral ultimately because it obviously synergizes with it, but also is not synergistic at all.
Yeah, it all depends on the draw.
If I have, even
It's
if I draw this
synergistic
late
from,
and I have 10 cards in my hand, it's like if I pay 10 to res this,
I lose
my hand.
Cards. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Hey, we can just look at it in normal HB decks too, like a 5-strength code gate.
I think that's where I
You
like it
can't
better.
click through. Yeah.
There's a lot of games that if you draw this early, it's super awesome. Like, you just get down to like 2 or 3 cards very naturally. They run. I'll stop you for 2, and then later it's just a 5-strength code gate.
You could also run the one upgrade in the core set that gives you +2 hand size.
Boom! There it is. Yeah.
Getting crazy.
Out of Weyland.
Yeah, Weyland.
Yeah.
No. That said, though,
Weyland has crappy.
This
code
has
gates.
incredible Foundry synergy.
Yep.
+1 strength with Foundry because you get a card in hand when you res it. Right.
Incredible synergy.
just mind blowing. I do like an ice that has a variable strength like this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the greatest asset that this brings to the table is constantly confusing your opponent on how much it's going to cost to get to a certain thing.
Yeah, it's
like
a problem.
They always have to be doing the math. It's like, oh, you've got 4 cards in hand, so it's going to cost me X this turn. Oh, you've got 2 cards this turn, so it's going to cost me X. As a runner, I would be so annoyed.
You pair this with Next Ice. I've already lost it to him like 20 times just from not understanding how Next Ice works.
It's like, oh, there was one over there too.
So like,
I forgot that one.
Every time that server's 4 to get into, so I'll run there and it's like, it's 5 now. It's like, God, I don't have 5.
Yeah,
just
like
wasted
that
a
will
click.
happen. That will absolutely happen. And obviously, really good players will probably not make that mistake very often. But
Yeah.
at the same time, the mental tax that you put on your
It
opponent
just
is
adds
an
another.
aspect. Yeah.
It gives your opponent another opportunity to make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to me that HP is becoming the faction that you have to think the most about. Like, just from an actual player perspective. It's like, so this is this much, this is that much.
You should have to constantly redo the math.
Feels like Bioroid kind of things.
All right, up next, we have a new asset. It's called Eliza's Toy Box.
Beautiful art there.
It's a 4-cost HB asset, like I said. It is Ritzy.
We have another Ritzy thing, don't we? I think there's one more that we commented about.
Wildside?
Wildside is CD.
CD.
I
really hope they do something with
this.
This
This is
someday.
2 influence. It's 4 trash cost. And it has this little unimportant ability. Click 3 times, res a card, ignoring all costs.
Now that seems pretty good with that ice we were just talking about.
Seems solid.
Yeah,
it also
that's
seems
really
good
good.
with Archer. It seems good with Wotan. It seems good with Janus. It seems good with Heimdall 2. It seems good with anything that is expensive.
Yeah.
You can res a Sandstorm with this.
Seems good with Efficiency Committee.
Yeah.
I think this probably becomes a pretty staple HB variant that we would see in those decks, right? You're going to see this asset around town.
It's just very solid, and you have to trash this. You can't just keep giving them free ice. Well, 3-click ice.
And they're going to put that Archer that they just res right in front of it, probably, or that Wotan.
Seems like a thing.
Ugh.
Yeah, this is a really good card.
Yeah, if
Pretty
you can
wicked.
protect this and get like 3 or 4 reses out of it, like.
Yeah. And it also feels like maybe, we haven't seen Blue Sun yet. I know it's on the way. We've seen enough of it. Like, maybe it makes it in that deck too, right? Where you res a 14er and then pop
Bounce
it
it,
in hand
gain
for
some
14
money.
credits.
It's possible. I don't know that that's quite as good as some of the other options that they have, because it's still, you're spending influence, you're spending 4 to res this, and you're spending 3 clicks.
Yeah.
For the first one. Like.
But I mean, 3 clicks to raise
Question
Janus.
Yeah, but.
And then bounce Janus and gain 15.
Right. Or you can just leave it res.
It's true.
I do think this is the kind of card that you're gonna like put it in with all these grand hopes and dreams, and then you realize it's a little bit trickier to use, I think, than we originally think when we just look at it. Getting kind of a naked asset that is able to be used next turn that the runner doesn't hit, and there's a lot of interesting things going on with this. I think it's really well balanced and enables some really weird builds and really strong builds.
Yeah, it's 4 trash costs. So it's just one of those things.
Never a
like,
bad thing.
If you hit that in R&D, it's like.
I got it. It's like the sand. Gotta trash it.
On that one. All right. Next up, I'm gonna botch this, but I'm gonna try Kitsune. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
nailed it.
That sounded right.
It's 2 cost, 3 strength, ice. It's a mythic. It's trapped.
Woo!
Has 1 subroutine.
Can't break
The
it,
court
man.
may choose a card in HQ. The runner accesses that card. If he or she does, trash Kitsune.
Hey, here's a snare.
Here's a fetal.
Here's a fetal.
Here's a scorched.
This looks
Stop.
so.
Get out.
This looks.
Get out.
This looks so good to me, and like those House and Knives variants that are coming up for personal evolution. It's like, if I House and Knives you and then throw you into a snare, you're going to lose. So can you afford to take that risk? Like, I can't.
Cards like this are really forcing AI breakers back in.
Yeah.
Not that they necessarily went anywhere, but.
Yeah.
So they can
Becomes
basically
a
break
problem.
it because the normal suite isn't going to do nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
It ain't gonna do nothing.
It ain't gonna do nothing.
That
Ain't gonna do
normal
nothing.
sweet.
Nothing.
No, Adrian.
And like, you're just gonna face check this once and get owned.
Yeah, that will happen to you.
When it reses,
As a
like,
player.
Well, shoot.
I'll tell you what,
Or you
Jinteki's...
just res this, and then if they don't break, it's like, I'm not going to use it right now.
Yeah.
And then like they have to eventually start breaking it whenever it gets important. But then they're breaking a 3 strength trap. Like,
Jinteki's tricks are getting a lot less tricky and a lot more real. Like, it used to be like, I hope they hit this June bug, and now it's like, you're hitting whatever I want you to hit. Like, that kind of a thing. And we've seen Jinteki have a huge rise, actually, with replicating and personal evolution. So
yeah.
I think this continues that train. And it also gives us some nice art.
Yeah,
David?
the art's fantastic on that.
Heads on fire.
My head
But again, like,
on fire.
we're getting so many options.
Yeah. It's
Does
great.
Jinteki have room for that?
I mean, they're going to make it.
Some Jinteki will.
Some Jinteki will. Let's talk about Port Anson Grid, speaking of room. Upgrade region, 2 cost to res for Jinteki. The runner cannot jack out while running on this server unless he or she trashes 1 installed program, 5 to trash.
This card seems way better than it actually is.
Do you slot it into the Whirlpool Death, like, oh my gosh, this is never going to happen category of Jinteki, or do you slot it into the realistic tricks of Jinteki? That's the question.
To me, this card is best used with Chum. And I have a server that is ice, ice, and then this. They run that server, I res this, and I res Chum.
Yeah.
And then it's like...
Suck it. I mean, really?
That's so bad.
And that is the best use of this, I think.
Because a lot of times you're going to draw this and it's not going to be doing anything for you.
Right. I mean, the amount of times that a runner jacks out these days, like if they're a good player, it's not a ton. Yeah. So you have to correctly gauge where this is going to need to be, and then also have them have an impactful program that they have to trash.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be experimented with, and whether or not it sticks around after that is my guess is that it will not. That it will not. Like if it's really bad, you ditch a program and don't die. If you're really concerned about it. So there's a way out already, and a lot of times it's not going to do a whole lot. So we'll see. But it would be annoying on a central where you don't want to pay 5, but there's always unknown ice popping out in front of the server, and it's like, what is that? I don't want it to be like a neural katana or something.
Yep.
Problems.
Yep.
I will note the art is great.
Yeah, it's great. All of the space art is fantastic.
It's really good.
Up next, we have the News Now Hour. I said that wrong. It's a 0 cost NBN asset. It's 3 influence. It's a cast. It's 4 trash cost. The runner cannot play current events.
Yeah. This is kind of, I filed this into not yet.
But it will be.
But it's good to have in the playbook if you ever need it. I mean, right now I think this is literally doing nothing. Like, if you have something supremely important, like your current is like your deck, Like, it's so important to your success that you just can't afford the risk. Then I think this is worth it. But I don't think we've seen a current of that level. The only one could be the HB double click, but 3 influence to get this out of faction is just too much.
You could also do 2 influence to get the HB one into NBN.
Into NBN, yeah. And it's like,
now we're just kind of.
You could also use this. I think this is good with Manhunt.
Yeah.
Just keeping Manhunt in play longer is just annoying.
Because Manhunt is annoying.
I think maybe even more importantly is if the runners get really, really good currents.
Meta shaking.
It's like, now you just can't play whatever bomb current criminal is very likely to end up getting.
And you hope that it's before they play it.
That is the goal.
If it was like get rid of all currents and then they can't play, it'd be one thing. So I don't know.
It's not.
I think you're looking at NBN decks these days that just won't have room for this. I feel like. Not yet.
Speaking of Manhunt.
Yeah.
I was like, what's Manhunt? 3 credits. Operation. It's a current. 3 influence. Obviously an NBN card. This card is not trashed until another current is played or an agenda is stolen. The first time the runner makes a successful run each turn, trace 2. If successful, give the runner 1 tag.
Yeah. Super annoying and making news, kind of making a bit of a comeback.
Really annoying.
The interesting thing about this card for me, as an NBN player and someone who was really excited when I saw this, and I love the Tag Storm NBN kind of play, right? There's this interesting balance between successful runs that hurt the runner with tags and them just winning the game and not caring about tags much at all. Like we talked about it earlier, playing this Data Ravens, and then it's like, yeah, man, they got 20 tags on them, but they've just keep running R&D and indexing me, and they've scored 7 points by the time I draw my first psychographics. Or R&D lock me where I never see anything worthwhile from that tag punishment. So it's kind of interesting, right? It's like if you give them a successful run to trigger this, they could just score an agenda and then it's over. Like if they're running a remote or if they're running a central. But you also like the punishment of them having successful runs and giving them tags. So it's a beautiful piece of kind of NBN balance, once again, between tags and successful runs. And it's something that I played with a lot, and I think it's just a fascinating little tool. It is extremely annoying when it's popping. I mean, especially you're talking about things like an NEH deck. You think about this in Making News, but in Near Earth, where you're having to go run and trash their econ economy, their static economy.
It's like, tags.
Hey, here's a trace 2 on top of it. Enjoy that.
Hey.
Pay an extra credit or 2 to not get tagged.
And
very interesting.
The flavor of this card is really fun.
Yeah,
Oh, there he was. Oh, he's gone.
And do we see a resurgence of like market research, psycho, tag storm decks? Like maybe we do.
Yeah.
They're hard to balance. I mean, they're difficult decks to pilot, but we could see it.
Yeah.
Kindle Bright is who I.
Yeah.
Who's in my brain?
Running that deck. I have his 68 card NBN tag deck.
I believe it.
It works.
Let's talk. That's a great Kindle impression. Let's talk about Wendigo, shall we?
Let's do it.
It's
Let's
a
go.
2 cost.
Oh, that art.
2 cost, 4 strength, just incredible art. 2 cost, 4 strength piece of ice for Weyland. It's 2 influence. It's a code gate, but it is a morph, which is a type of ice that I don't believe that we've seen yet. And it's not hard to stretch your imagination as to what this might mean.
We're about to find out, I think.
It can be advanced, and while it has an odd number of tokens on it, it gains barrier and loses code gate. So you advance it once, it becomes a barrier. Advance it twice, it's back to a code gate.
Advance it the third time, what is it?
Barrier.
Nailed it. Gosh.
The subroutine is choose a program. The runner cannot use the chosen program for the remainder of this run. So the weird thing about Wendigo for me is, like, I think this is a really strong ability on a piece of ice, and I feel like the subroutine is really hit or miss, and that's going to lend it to be like, ice in a lot of instances. You want it on the outside, obviously, like, so now you can't put it on the first rung. You need to put it on the second rung so that it can actually do something. If it was the end of the turn, that'd be one thing, but the remainder of the run is kind of hard for me.
How does this work against medium and nerve agent?
That's really good. That's really good. Yeah.
Hey,
is that considered usage? I don't know. We can't bring up rules questions
I'm sorry.
in this unboxing.
I'm sorry.
Would you like to look incompetent at the game of Netrunner? Well,
Here
have
we
a
are.
story for you.
Oh, man.
I don't know, man. I
Could you not add the token?
So here's the things I do know. I know that when you're putting Ottman tokens on Ottman, it's using Ottman.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use Spinal Modem to actually put those tokens on, or like Cyber Feeders. So that's considered using an icebreaker. Are you using an icebreaker whenever it's a passive ability that it's granting is a big question mark for me. I don't think you could put the token on medium,
But you would still get the
but
extra
you
cards.
might get the passive benefit.
That would still be potentially very useful.
Could be very useful.
Especially early on when you, like, even just this in front of your deck means that a medium's not just going to wreck you.
So this is the kind of ice where it's like, it's cool, it's interesting, it's a great concept. I don't think the subroutine is strong enough.
It's also worth noting that this is a Weyland code gate.
Yeah.
Which right now they have salvage.
That's true. If it had an in the run on it, it'd be one thing. I think this is a cool, like, oh my gosh, hard to deal with ice.
I think this is very interesting to me. Like, obviously, I'm in the process of playing with Weyland, and what I like about this, the 4 strength to me is killer, because if this is a code gate, which it very much will be a code gate when I'm playing Weyland,
you lock a server down.
it's just so annoying. Like, if I put this out, if I do put it out front, and I'm not saying you'd run like 3 of these at all.
Yeah.
But one of these, and it's like I put it in front of Archer, and then it's like
You want to always have to break a 4
it's like
strength?
you have to break it. You have to pay. What are you going to pay for this?
You can't use your Fim all of a sudden. You can't use your David.
You gonna like what are you going to use on this? And then it's like then you get to the Archer, and it's like oh.
That's really important. Yeah.
I definitely don't think it's a wholesale put in 3, but I do like
Quite
having a code
interesting,
game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sold.
And if you're playing against someone that can break free barriers every turn, you may turn it into a barrier to make him have to use it.
You've got the old Weyland identity, and you've got Tenant Institute, and you've even got commercialization.
Yep.
Could all synergize well.
All right, up next we have the Chrysium grid. It's a 3-cost Weyland upgrade. It's a region. It's 1 influence. It's 5 trash costs.
I was saying boo earns.
Successful runs against the server are not considered to be successful or unsuccessful for the purposes of card abilities.
I think we've needed this card for a while. I think this is a good design space. It's actually just like, what are you doing, man? It's like you just got back from the dentist. All right, well, I'll kick this one off, I guess. I think this is a really solid card. So obvious synergies, I think that people notice at first is like off the grid with Chrysium.
Mm-hmm.
If off the grid over here, they can't run until they do a successful run in HQ. They can't do a successful run in HQ until they run, trash it, run again. And you probably stack ice a mile deep on that server, right? So
1 mile high.
I mean, aside from that, which I think that's a viable Weyland deck. I feel like that's a real thing that we have to be concerned
I was
about.
playing against Joe using that deck the other night.
Yeah, was it rough?
It was annoying. I was running blackmail recursion, so I was like blackmail.
Oh, that's
blackmail.
way good against that.
But
that's way good. I mean, obviously, it's way weak to like. Well, no, it's actually great against quest completed. I'm completely off the mark there. But additionally, what are you? Account Siphon, Vamp, R&D, like Data Suckers, Maker's Eye, indexing.
I like this.
R&D interfaces, HQ interfaces.
I mean, a lot of the regions to me fit in like a really weird like edge case usage. Like it's how I felt on most of the regions I've seen, and maybe it's because I play Weyland and but this one
industrial zone.
Yeah, this one definitely feels useful. Like just dropping this in front of your hand. It's 5 trash costs, which is so annoying. 3 money shouldn't be too terribly hard for Weyland to have, and I just want you to have to pay 5. I don't know.
And then you get to look at that beautiful art all day.
Yeah, you
It
do.
is good art.
It's quite nice.
It's a cool card. I don't think it's...
It's got play. I think it's got play.
Yeah, there's a deck. All right, next up, Chronos Project. It's
Oh, man.
3-1 neutral agenda. It's got the research. I don't know. Is it called trait here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Tagline.
Subtype?
No influence. When you
Subtype.
score Chronos Project, the runner removes all cards in his or her heap from the game.
Oh, yeah.
I like that it's the onus on the runner to do it. It's like an added... Usually a card to me would be worded, remove all cards in the runner's heap from the game. And it's like, no, the runner must do it. They have to, like, do it themselves and, like, be sad about it. This is a really interesting card, right? Super interesting. There's been so much buzz about, is this the end of half the decks in the meta that recur stuff? Why did they hurt Exile? Why did they hit the Professor? Why did they hit all of these IDs that aren't doing anything? My thoughts on Chronos Project are that I just don't think it's going to do much, to be honest with you. Maybe certain, like a personal evolution deck I think could run this really well.
I think it will fit into certain decks, and it will be really good against recursion decks, but I don't think that people are just going to run this to end recursion.
There's a lot of talk about, like, oh, NBN, you know, is just going to throw these in, and then now they don't have to worry about parasite recursion, those kinds of things. There's a lot of... Here's the variables in my head. One, are you going to stop the Astro Train for a Chronos Project? The answer is no. Like, almost wholesale, no. Second, is this going to show up whenever 3 parasites in the discard pile or 2 parasites in the discard pile?
Unlikely.
Unlikely. Is it going to just sit in your... Is this going to be or increase the agenda density in R&D?
Yes.
Likely. Are you going to not run breaking news to the run of Chronos Project? No. What other decks are going to run this? Like, what other decks are concerned about it? And it's one of those things where, like, if it is that prevalent, then recursion takes a backseat for a second, and then nobody runs Chronos Project anymore, and then things are back to normal. You know, it's one of those things for me. Like,
I think this is... I like seeing this.
Yeah.
Because it actually lets them, in my opinion, be a little crazier with recursion on the runner side.
Absolutely.
Where they can see this as an answer. And it's like, well... Corpse can always run this if it gets too nuts, right?
We even got Fast Track, neutral.
You put a Deluxe or something out before Worlds, and recursion just gets nuts. And it's like, this is already here.
It's a meta.
You already have something you can put in to answer it. If the decks that are hurt by this aren't being used anyway, no one's going to use this.
Yeah, nobody uses it.
And then no one cares,
Yeah.
and you can run Professor and you're fine.
Yeah.
As a 3-1, I think it's cool. It's useful. Certainly getting rid of cards if you run into a recursion deck is a nice option. But...
And one critical thing for me is that discard power recursion of anything, I think, in a card game, I think that has been the most abusive mechanic that I've seen across all the games that I've played. It's the ability for an active participant to consistently pull cards in and out of the discard pile at will to, like, make things. And we see that parasite recursion, I think, is somewhat too good. Like, it's a little bit busted in the sense that, like, you answer any ice.
Once it gets going, it's...
With parasite data sucker. So... Seeing that maybe take a little bit of a backseat, I think no one's going to have a problem with that. Run a different rig.
Old man Weyland doesn't.
Let's talk about Shattered Remains. Oh, the saddest card you've ever seen.
Art's pretty sad.
I mean,
Dino.
That's Chaos Theory, right?
Oh, yeah.
I've never liked Chaos Theory. But as a person, she's
Get
a
out
great
of here,
person.
Zach.
Get out of here. She's the
I'm
most
still
lovable
sad.
creature in all of Netrunner.
I've never
Besides
liked
Dinosaurus.
I've never liked her as a runner, but I feel sad for her here.
Yeah, as you should.
Reasonable. Little empathy from the big man over
She
there.
looks like she's about to cry. Like,
This is a 0-cost neutral asset. It's an ambush, and it's 0 to trash, so that's tough. It can be advanced, and if you pay 1 credit when the runner accesses Shattered Remains, trash 1 piece of hardware for each advancement token on Shattered Remains.
seems good.
Very interesting card, right? It's again, it's kind of like Chronos Project. It's like, this is an answer to hardware that may or may not be needed. You advance it once. It looks like an NAPD.
Get rid of their console.
Get rid of their console.
Let me
Get
tell
rid
you-
of their
let me
plastic.
tell you who likes this.
Scorch them up.
Weyland likes this.
Weyland likes this.
Because it looks like a 1 over advanced Atlas every time.
It's either Atlas or it's Grendel Refinery, baby.
Yeah.
And either way, you don't want them to have it.
You've got to
You
go
don't-
get down there and get it.
It's
It's
like-
like, my plastic.
I mean, this
Does
is
this
fun.
make you run LLDS energy regulator?
I don't even know what that card is, Bones. No clue.
The fact that I don't know what that card is means it's a joke. That Tim is making a joke right now.
Yeah. He's just going to start making up cards and trying to slide it by. Yeah, I mean, this card's interesting. They obviously, anytime you have a card that relies on your opponent specifically doing a thing they may or may not be doing, you know they're going to be running, right? And you know they're going to be trying to score agendas. You do not know if they're going to have any hardware out. So having a card slot, putting it in, advancing it even when they do, and then they have to run on it. What if they just reveal it? You know,
and
everyone's
they're just
running
rolling this through HQ and R&D, just tossing it, just running through it.
This card has the same problems that like Junebug does. It's like,
yeah, great when it works, awful the rest of the time.
yeah.
And I mean, you know, Expose is really big in the meta right now, so.
Yeah, I know, Infiltration is just in all the decks, right? I feel like I had a statement about that at one point in my life. I'm not going to go into that.
I'm just kidding. But this could be a potential backbreaker for a like Weyland kill deck. Whether or not it needs it, though, is another question entirely.
I also think that like everyone, for the most part, runs a console.
Yeah.
There's usually a console in the deck, so there's always that.
You could nuke some MU hard with that thing.
Oh, you played a Monolith?
No. See you, Professor. Not again. Well, let's move on, shall we?
Yep.
You got Lancelot there, Tim?
It's me? Okay. Up next, we have Lancelot. It's a 4-cost, 1 influence, neutral piece of ice. It's 2 strength. It's a sentry, it's a grail, and it's a destroyer.
God, that art, dude.
When the runner encounters Lancelot, you may reveal up to 2 Grail ice from HQ. For the remainder of this run, Lancelot gains the subroutines of the revealed ice in the order of your choice. Trash 1 program.
Wicked. This is great for a lot of reasons.
Getting there.
It's great for a lot of reasons, yeah. Being able to pull a couple trash programs out of your HQ from the other Grail Ice is pretty significant too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
whew, it's like, oh, you hit
that's
a Galahad?
nasty.
Well, he's going to trash a program.
Yeah.
The cool part about this for me is typically Ice loses its surprise factor the moment it's rezzed. This guy does not. Because you could have any of them in your hand later on in the game, right? Like it's one turn I'm revealing a certain thing. Next turn I'm revealing surprise thing you don't have an answer for.
Okay, so let's talk about bad things. 2-cost sentries are not running the world on fire, right? 2 strength sentries. I think Mimic is still the sentry breaker of choice at this point.
Yeah. Man, I haven't seen a Mimic in so long.
So it's good. Well, I think with Komainu and Tsurugi, like Mimic has kind of, for me, it's come back in my purview because like I can't run against Jinteki now until I have it out. But Foundry is looking great here.
Yeah.
Foundry is looking great, is it not?
Is
Am I
it
wrong?
not? It is
not.
It's looking grailed.
Grailed. That was a good try, but
Especially
it was a fail.
If you're spending influence on this kind of an engine, Foundry is the only thing that gets it consistently worth that spend.
I mean, I do like, you know, you pay 5 for a Grim and give them a bad pub to trash a program. So the surprise trash program, even for 4, like it happens.
It is nice having a not 0 strength.
Do you know what Galahad is strength-wise?
I don't remember.
I haven't looked at it since it first came out. But if it's, like, that's the thing, too, is, like, if Galahad is trashing programs and it's at a level where they don't have that breaker, it's like, dang, I just got all my rig trashed.
This is a very interesting piece of ice. I'm going to be curious about the rest of the Grails.
It's good. It's real good.
Noted. All right, next up, we have Quetzal, also known as Quetzal.
That's so wrong.
Quetzal.
Everything about that is wrong.
She's a free spirit. 0 link, 4515, identity, Gmod, once per turn, break 1 barrier subroutine, and I'm going to go ahead and pass this one on over to Steven. He's had some Quetzal experience.
The first thing that I think is interesting is the egg that she's hovering, right? That's like a digital egg of some kind, like a bird egg, which makes sense because she's based on like the South American Quetzalcoatl, I think, is like the god bird, and then there's the actual bird with the same name or similar name. Okay, let's talk about her outfit as well.
Before we get to the card,
her outfit is wicked. I mean, this runner looks amazing, and I love playing the ladies in card games, so it's very appealing. No link 4515. It really comes down to, as you might expect, whether or not breaking 1 barrier subroutine is worthwhile. Man, okay, so I've played a lot with Quetzal. And there's only a couple of things. I think the original reaction, right, is we're going to run a couple E3s, which means we're going to run Knights, and we're going to run Davids, and we're going to run Overminds or Darwin or whatever, your AI breaker du jour. And then you're going to have a game where you're spending all of your energy trying to get through basic ice. And that's a true story. But what you can run Quetzal as is an early aggression when it matters, right? Early persistent aggression is actually not this. This is 1 run a turn, right? So like you get through that wraparound once and then you hang out and try to build economy or something. But if that one run is an account siphon, if that one run is a keyhole, if there's a really significant effect that you can pound through every turn, and this is why, like, Overmind's already strong there, David's already strong, Knight's already strong there. So
this just gives you one more tool.
Yeah, this feels to me like if I was running the Anatomy deck, like the Siphon Recursion deck, I would probably have chosen Quetzal over like a Reyna even, just to make sure that it lands. Now, in the other instances of her being applied, I think maybe she's interesting with like Ottmans or something. She gets through wraparound once a turn, which can be a real boon in those kinds of decks. Other than that, she becomes economy to me, right? Like a Bastion that you don't have to pay to break is really significant once a turn. Like you just save 3 credits. A Wall of Static, you save 2. Wall of Thorn, she
Assuming
breaks.
you had a Corroder out.
Yeah. Well, no, the Wall of Static, not the wraparound.
With the
assuming you had
Bastion.
Corroder, you don't run anything else. It's Corroder. And then Wall of Thorns, like you face check Wall of Thorns against Replicating Perfection, you don't take the net damage, and you move on.
Or you do,
and you get through the barrier.
Or you do.
So yeah, it's interesting. I think it's kind of good for remote threatening too, right? Like I've seen this. We've been playing a lot of Weyland v Anarch stuff, and it's you got to double stack that Bastion Ice Wall or something
or the
other.
Hive.
So I think she only gets better if we see more harder to deal with persistent barriers. Like against Eli, it's like a click and a credit for E3, which you assume is going to be out, or she just gets through for 1 click. That's cool. Like that's significant.
Yeah.
But it's once a turn. And so when you're looking at somebody like Noise, who comes with the game plan, you're looking at Wizard, who is significant right now, you're looking at Reyna, who probably saves you or hurts the corp like 5, 6, 10 credits over the course of the game, and has a link. Like, it's just hard to kind of compete in that arena, but I think E3 is ultimately not the correct call with Quetzal. I think you just build an awesome Anarch deck and see if she fits inside of that. That would be my take on it.
She does just turn off certain ice for that run. Like, as a Weyland player, very significant. The ability to just... It's like ice walls are just useless.
Yeah, and I had a lot of cool plays with her with like Hive and E3. Like, I can get through that now without any breakers. Or even a Hadrian's Wall, right? It's like, I can get through for 1. That's crazy. So there are good plays, but if you look at the meta at large right now, I think that's what we're evaluating her in this field, where it's like 2 wraparounds, maybe a Wall of Static, and then Eli's. Like, those are the barriers that I'm seeing meta-wise. Those are the ones like Benoit had in his winning deck. Maybe a Wall of Thorns every now and again. So it's just, if it was like Bastion, Wall of Static heavy, if we see a lot of like single subroutine barriers that are expensive to res, I think she comes back into the ball game here. But she's not bad is the thing. Like, she's just a solid tier 2, maybe lower tier 1 kind of runner that could get better and could be your jam. Any more runners kind of about taste more than anything for me. Yeah. Aside from Noise, he's just like a game plan.
Yeah, Noise is a way of
I'd just like to see 8 extra cards every game. Okay, no matter what deck I'm running, I've been well, you guys have any thoughts about Quetzal? I feel like I just talked about it for like a year.
I mean, you are the leading expert on Quetzal here.
You're the Quetzal expert.
And E3 is fun and it works, but like I've just found I was spending too much time doing basic things.
And then it's a real bummer when you don't draw the E3.
Oh man, it's so bad.
Yeah, when I was playing against you, which we played a lot, it just felt like...
Anarch's best breaker is Corroder. Like, that's our best in-faction breaker, and it's like, here's a runner that maybe doesn't need it. Well,
I
think it goes like a code gate.
What it lets you do, though, is not install the Corroder.
Right.
So there are a lot of times where, like, I'll have a Grim, and if you had a Corroder out, it's worth rezzing and getting rid of your Corroder.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, there's so many in my ice that you can just get through without having to waste the install, the card, or the credits now.
Yeah.
And not really have the threat of losing the program in the meantime. So she's really interesting to me. Obviously, that ability is a good ability. Like, it does something. And everyone runs barriers, or most people run barriers.
Got to stop that run, baby.
So.
Well, speaking of barriers, let's talk about Black Cat, shall we?
Boom.
4 cost, 1 MU, Icebreaker. It's Fractor. It's 3 strength and 3 influence. This is a Anarch specialty. 1 credit to break 1 barrier subroutine, or up to 3 subroutines if you spent a credit from a stealth card. And then 2 credits to give her +1 strength or +2 strength if you spend at least 1 credit from a stealth card. So this fits into the old stealth breaker thing, which I think is working somewhat well with Shaper right now. I think they're the only ones that can really pull it off at this juncture. But even in a stealth deck, Is it Black Cat? Like,
I think it's good.
It's good.
It breaks wall statics for one, no matter what.
I
Yeah.
wish that plus strength was +3 if from the stealth.
I was hoping it would be like 2 credits if you don't have a stealth, or it's 1 credit off a stealth to get like a plus D. I think Eli is so strong right now, and this would be a pretty decent little, cheap Eli get through. But as it is, it's not. It's just problematically not that cheap to get through what is like the best barrier right now.
Yeah, I can see that.
And again, it's competing with Corroder, but I think you probably export this. It's phenomenal,
Export
like
it.
flavor. I absolutely love the idea of this breaker. I don't even know how to translate it into something that makes sense in cyberspace, but the fact that it could be translated if we tried hard enough makes me love it.
Dude, it's just a little cat program running around.
Yeah.
If you run into it, it's gonna get you.
But so like you
It's
go up to
gonna get
5, it's pretty good for like Wall of Thorns, which actually I never thought I'd say that, but I've seen a lot of I've seen it replicating a bunch, which is why it's on my mind. It's right there, boy. It's right there, isn't it?
I mean,
It's gonna be hard to spend 3 influence on that.
the problem is you're just
faction.
comparing it to Corroder,
Yeah.
which is always good
I think that this is a good card, and I think
Mhm.
it will be played.
in a stealth out of shape.
I don't know that stealth is there yet, and I don't think it necessarily is out of shaper.
I think if I'm doing a stealth deck, I might like the Code Gate stealth makes sense to me. The Sentry stealth makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah.
But like barriers, we have pretty decent ways to break them without stealth, so it'd have to be really good in stealth to make it worthwhile.
I think you could run stealth out of Anarch with this because you have the one hardware. I forget the fractor generator.
Yeah,
or
the
whatever
Dyson
that does
thing.
that, and then you can import Cloak, and then you could also run Ghost Runner. Like,
Yeah,
I think it's there.
you can make it happen.
But what it reminds me of the Quetzal tries you were doing, which is like
The Quetzal Surprise, is that what you said?
no,
Quetzal-
Quetzal
no,
Surprise.
Quetzal.
Oh.
Quetzal Surprise, where it's like you're
Where's the
doing
pickle?
all these things to ultimately just have a rig.
Just get through a barrier, yeah.
And it's like, what? At some point, you just like, hey, I'm just gonna run a real rig.
I'm gonna run a Corroder and
Like-
get through anything I want.
We're just gonna run the 3 card.
money.
Like, I'm just gonna run the icebreakers instead of the cloak, and I don't know. It's just like how much you have to have massive benefits to go through all this trouble.
Yeah. All right.
Or
up
you
next,
have to be able to see a lot of your deck. I wish there was a way to do that.
Up next, we have Duggars.
Yeah,
It's a 2-cost unique resource. It's a
I get
location.
it. It's not
CD,
perfect.
and it's 4 influence. And it has 1 ability on
Hey,
it.
go Anarch, go. 4 influence.
Click, 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 click.
click.
Draw 10 cards.
I'm gonna quote my friend on this one.
Joe?
Say it ain't Joe. You asked. I think it was you. Asked Joe what his thoughts on this card were,
Uh-huh.
and he said, "Well, there's only one thing you really need to know about Duggars. It's got the number 10 on it, and it's not a cost." And I lost it because
Yeah.
that's hilarious and
It's
true.
Yeah, it's true.
For spend a turn to draw 10. Are you?
It's good. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
This is also the crazy
It's
recurring
reasonable.
shenanigans I was talking
That's
about.
totally,
earlier.
yeah, this is totally reasonable. You've got 3 Deja Vus in faction. You got same old things in faction.
Retriever runs in
You've
faction?
got retriever runs in faction, and then you've got clone chips basically in faction. So like, this is this the Anarch like self-modifying? Like dump all your programs into the garbage and then play them out with clone chips and Deja Vu and stuff? Like,
Just the amount of games that I've played, it's like, man, I just need to draw a barrier breaker.
Yeah.
So bad.
hugely consistent. I think this opens up a new style of play for Anarch, especially paired with Inject, just coming down the pipe, which is another way to get programs in the garbage.
This is obscene. Like, it
I
doesn't
wish
matter.
Clone Chip was in faction.
It really doesn't
so
matter what's
hard.
going on. It's like, I mean, imagine if your turn 1 is like card, Duggars is your 4th card. It's like next turn you're just like draw 10, and now I've basically got a turn 2 Andy.
Yeah.
Like, I have Andy's ability just mid game to have any cards I just want to have
with 4 clicks. But yeah.
Yeah, I hate the seed of tempo, but this is going to appeal to certain types of Anarchs, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are already Anarch players that are sitting back, playing control-y stuff, setting stuff up, doing weird stuff, letting you score agendas for a few turns. Maybe you run this with like logos, and let them do stuff, search out stuff.
I also think that this works well with any type of combo decks that you're doing.
Yes, absolutely.
So like if you're trying to do something very specific and you have to find those cards to get your game going.
Yeah.
Hey.
What about Public Sympathy? What about Boxy? What about having a huge hand size and
What
just
about
drawing 10
Theophilus
cards?
Bagbiter?
There it is, man. I knew you'd say it.
What's he do?
credits and equal hand size. It's like cerebral imaging for the runner.
Hey, that's good.
But you can
But you
trash
have to
it.
you lose all your credits after you play them.
Yeah, that's the problem. Did you see that Twitch? Well, it's Duggars, guys, and I think it's solid.
It's got the number 10 on it.
Play with it.
I can dig it.
It doesn't fit into the current runner style that's winning, which is constant tempo, constant pressure.
Yep.
But it certainly fits into weird Anarch stuff. That's only going to get better.
Yep, I agree.
Look at that nightclub. All right.
Is it me on Boxy?
It's Zach on the box.
Zach on Boxy.
Boxy. Sounds like a boxy, which is delicious. 4 credits. Hardware. It's a console. It's criminal.
Irish
It's a
boxes.
boxy. It's unique. It's 1 influence. 2 memory. Your maximum hand size is increased by 2. Limit 1 console per player.
Now, I will say this about this console. This is the best shaper console in the game.
It's the most boring console I've ever seen in my life. Without a doubt. This is raw stats. This is like the person who's playing Dota or something and they just go stats. Like, I don't want any abilities. I don't want anything fancy. I just want stats. And you know what? It's good for the game to have that.
It
One
needs to
influence,
exist.
Any faction gets +2 hand size, +2 MU, solves a lot of problems for a lot of.
It's not the card I'm excited about, but it's the card the game deserves.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I feel too.
All right. I agree.
I mean, you put it in with Duggars, that's pretty cool. Public sympathy, you get scorch protection. Like, 2 MU is never a bad thing. Opens up Overmind and Criminal if you want it. Like, there's good stuff with this. And I think, there's that Boxer runner coming, right? Which makes sense that this would be their
Which one?
console. Like, they got the boxing gloves on. I seem to remember that. There's some kind of a runner, and it's like, boom, boom, boom. I think this is their console.
I don't know.
Boom,
Sure.
boom, boom, boom.
I believe
Since
you.
usually the spoiler master.
I don't
remember.
I don't even
boxing
know
gloves.
some cards that are out. So
Or maybe it's just like Fist, like, oh, coming at you.
Maybe.
this looks like that one guy.
Zach,
man.
you're up. Or
No,
no,
I just
Steven, you're
read
up.
the boxy.
Let's talk about the supplier. It is a unique 3-cost resource. It's a connection, important, very important. 2 influence, 2 abilities there. 1 is click to host a resource or piece of hardware from your grip on the supplier. And 1 is when your turn begins, you may install a hosted card, lowering the install cost by 2. A couple things to get out of the way. You can click, 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 and put 4 cards on this if you so desire, but you can only ever take 1 off passively. So it's kind of just a install this next turn at -2 cost. It's an economy card.
I like it.
Personal workshop for hardware resource. Yeah, a little bit different though.
Yeah.
Can't pay to get off, which is a hilarious thing to say. But you
Noted.
I think I actually love this. This isn't really my style of play, but if you're already into ASOPs, if you're into this kind of beginning of the turn, having crazy things that happen before you do anything, I think this is crazy solid. And when you look at a lot of the hardware and resources at -2 cost, the profit from those things is immense. I'm thinking cyber fears. I'm thinking liberated accounts. I'm thinking
I think it makes
Katie
the whole
Jones, Daily Cast,
Underworld Contacts engine way better.
Underworld Contacts, yeah. A lot of great things
Inside
in the
Man.
supplier. And it's like, it's one of those things where if you're running a hostage suite, you pull a supplier out first and then you start rolling. And I think that's probably the best way to see it. Otherwise, it's one of those cards where you see it mid-game and it's like, It's like Proco in that instance. Like, I don't want to drop this mid-game.
Yeah, I agree.
But very cool. I think this is a solid card. Very nice. And fits into a new style of criminal that's kind of being developed.
Yep. All right, up next, we have Refractor. It's a 1-cost, 1 memory program. It's
Looks
an
awesome.
icebreaker decoder. It's 2 influence, 2 strength. 1 credit to break a Kogate subroutine. 1 credit for +3 strength. Use this ability only by spending credits from a stealth card.
Oh man, this is so phenomenal, guys. I think this is the best. This is the best stealth one that I've seen. Oh
This
my
is it.
goodness
We've
gracious.
been waiting on it.
A 1-cost install that gets you through Enigma and Quandary is already killing it for me. But
Yeah.
then 1 stealth credit, and you get through all of the 5 strength Kogates that are cool now. Toll Booth, Inazuma, that kind of stuff. Man, like, I think this is phenomenal. This is phenomenal, guys.
This is what I was talking about with stealth. Like, it has to be a phenomenal exchange for you to really go to the trouble of playing all these cards to have a non-standard rig. So, I like seeing this.
This is
I wish
excellent.
Black Cat was on this
This
level.
is excellent. Mark my words. You may even see
Mark
this.
my
You may even
words.
see this without stealth at all, just to get through those low-cost code gates for nothing.
It's like a 1-cost mini Yogg.
It's kind of like a Zool,
I
but
mean, it's the same. If you're
little
already
bit
running
cheaper.
like the Kate data sucker thing that's happening, like you can lower their strength to be able to mess with it for 1 here. So
Totally.
I dig it. A
this is
1-cost
huge.
program is sweet.
Yeah, massive.
Love it.
All right,
Next
Zach.
up, We have a new location.
Oof.
It's 2 cost. It's unique. Order of Soul. Resource location. 1 influence. The first time you have no credits in your credit pool each turn, gain a credit.
It's hard, man.
What are we thinking?
It's so hard.
Silence.
This card is designed for Nasir.
Yeah, it is, right?
And that is all I can see.
I want to know what the Order of Soul is, because I'm sure it's fascinating, and I'm sure Nasir knows something about it that I would like to know.
Well, if you read.
I can't read it right now. It's a World Church.
Yep.
Ooh, awesome. So here's, you have 2 credits, you play this, you gain 1 back, so it comes out for 1, right? And then
it's just Nazar. I mean, you just
play,
run, you
play
lose your
Backbiter,
credits, you go to
and you
0,
get 1 credit.
1.
Right.
There's only one person that uses this card right now, and it's the guy who loses his credits every time he hits a piece of ice.
I think that's fair. I mean, it just doesn't. It may
Let's
be
be real.
It may be a cute ability for everyone else, but you're not going to put it in your deck. The slots are too competitive.
I mean, if
I
I'm
do like
running
it
down
Nasir, though. Like,
Yeah, in this year, this makes sense.
He's awesome. But if I'm
It's like, oh, I can get to that pop-up now.
if I'm that's so funny.
Keep going.
It's true.
If I'm consistently getting to 0 credits to make this really worth it, I'm doing it wrong.
Or you're just being as efficiently even as possible.
That could be a thing.
Or you're just really
Like you're building your rig, you're building your resources for it's like you only are playing low ball, right? Like you're running, jacking out.
It's like you're only producing as much as you exactly need.
I'm going to pay 3 for daily cast, gain 1, and then I'll gain 2, and then I'll use those to pay 3 for another daily cast, gain 1, and then I gain 4 next turn, and then I'll install for 4 Gordian, and then I get 1. It's like, you could maybe churn it out, but you're not going to put this in. It's unique. You don't want 3 of it.
You're going to
This wasn't unique.
It might, this would be
That's
wicked.
different, yeah.
Wicked.
But
See it
even
happen.
then, I think there's one guy that runs this.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're all agreed there. Let's talk about Hades Shard, shall we? It's a unique 7-cost resource.
Ooh, that's expensive.
Virtual source, 1 influence, and it is neutral, as I said. Limit 1 per deck. The absolute murder of this card is that text. I cannot tell you how much I hate that text. Whenever you make a successful run on archives, instead of accessing cards, you may install Hades Shard from your grip, ignoring all costs, and you can trash it to access all cards in archives. A couple of very interesting things about this card for me. I believe this is the only card that I can think of that is a hidden effect the runner doesn't know on successful accesses. This actually physically comes out of your hand like an event or an instant in some other game. The runner isn't aware that there's going to be a consequence to the successful archives run. Oh yeah, the corp. Like I can't think of any other thing. Like I play indexing and get the effect if it's successful.
There's the other shard.
Play a resource. Yeah, the shards are about the only ones that I can think of. Which I actually, as a player, I do not like. I think it's fine here. I don't think it's broken or anything. But I like the idea of Netrunner as having this open information exchange between the runner and the corp that is always like on even ground. It's like, I know you're indexing me right now. I know that you have an R&D interface out. I know what my risk is. Now, in this instance, it doesn't ultimately matter too much. Just a Hades shard. It's like, but I hope we don't see too much more of that in the game. That's just my personal preference. As for what this card does, I think it's freaking great. I wish I could run 3 of these.
Early on, you just run archives, put it down,
yeah,
just have it.
Put it down and have it. It's even more powerful in a lot of instances by paying 7 for it.
Yeah, just surprise 7.
Because you get the first action. Tim
Trash.
and I have figured this out. As the runner, if it's your the active turn, you get the install and then immediately can use paid abilities. So, like, I'm Noise. You're sitting on 20 cards in hand. It doesn't matter if Jackson is even showing. Like, he could be res, he could be up, and you're like, I'm going to wait until they res Jackson or run archives to use him. Then it's like, Hades Shard, I just won the game.
Now that is going to cause someone to lose the game.
Absolutely.
And they're not going to be happy
angry about it. Yes.
Like that's not how it should work. When you play the card, I should get the action.
Yeah. Now on the other end of it, if you run archives, put it on the board, now the corp has the, basically, put Jackson down, res him, and I believe can use him first.
If you were running archives, you should have just accessed archives.
Yeah, but like if you do it early game
and
then you have it out, then the corp actually has more control over their ability to use Jackson before you can Hades Shard.
Yeah, I really like it on the pay 7. Use it.
Yeah.
Like just total surprise. Can't do anything about it.
But you're looking at noise keyhole kind of shenanigans with this. And is it worth 1 influence? Like it probably is. If we can ever search out like virtual resources, maybe it becomes more significant.
I will note, Foxfire getting better. It's getting better.
It's true. Damn, it's so true.
Like, I say that every pack, but...
honestly, like, I've played with this in my noise keyhole kind of stuff. So I was running Reina keyhole for a long time.
The old Reina keyhole.
And Quetzal, I was trying to do the keyhole one run a turn thing. And I wanted to hold this in hand. I didn't want to show that I had this capability. So that may be a trick. If you're thinking about Hades Shard, maybe hold it, because it's way more powerful that way.
All right, up next, we have Rachel Beckman. She is an 8-cost resource. She's a connection. She costs 1 influence. She has a neat text. You have 1 additional click to spend each turn.
Are you a mother?
And then she has this not neat text. Trash Rachel Beckman if you are tagged.
Tim had milk this morning, remember?
Oh, yeah. He had mother's milk.
What?
Not mother's milk. Also, she's unique. Otherwise, it might be kind of interesting. I don't.
That'd be crazy.
But she is named. All right, so here's
7 clicks.
All right, Tim, give me a pro of this card.
You get an extra click.
All right, Zach, give me a negative.
Trash it when you're tagged.
All right, Tim, give me an extensive negative about why that sucks.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news hurts this card so much.
Yes.
Like, install Advance. Trash your 8-cost resource, and I get a point.
Yes. Really bad exchange.
And you can't like Fall Guy it either, because you're still tagged in that moment.
Really bad exchange.
You can decoy it if you have 2 decoys.
Dude, two decoys and a Beckman.
You could also run
like my kind of party.
NACH and just pay 4.
Yeah.
Which hurts, but...
And then never score points with your 5 clicks or trash. Another problem, what snares, random taggy things, like even weird things like face checking Dracos.
Or Data Raven.
Data Raven's a problem, even though it's kind of out right now.
But let me tell you a story.
There's even HB Ice, right? That little weird trace on the end of like Ichis and stuff that gives a tag and a brain damage. It's like, oh no, I just lost my Beckman. But yeah, 5 clicks, so you shouldn't worry about it. Zach, can you give me some pros?
I can give you all the pros.
Give me all the pros.
ROSE.
Clicks are important. Like
clicks are important.
John Madden all of a sudden. All right, we're done. We've solved that.
Whoever has the most clicks and spins them the wisest is gonna win the game.
Get the ball. Anyways,
the ball across the line.
The value of a click is way more than just. A lot of times you compare clicks and cards and credits because just when you're making evaluations about cards, but clicks now are extremely important, and extra clicks on a turn, what you can do with a 5-click turn, is way more than just gaining an extra credit or gaining an extra card or whatever. So I see this, like I've been playing a weird version of Tim's Exile deck.
Exile?
Noise,
sorry. I always say Exile for Noise.
Tim's Exile, like that's hidden news for me.
Hidden news. Tim's Noise deck. Tim's like, don't! That's not public. His Noise deck, and the idea of that deck getting an extra click
is insane
because I'm not running early. I'm running some when it is really beneficial, but it's like
having a wild side and 4 clicks is just
it's like the number of cards you get to draw and viruses you get to install and money you get to make without doing anything. So I think Beckman can fit into a lot of decks that don't do a lot of running. Even Opus out, if you're not trying to get in early, not trying to do anything crazy, you're just setting up like the old school
10 gold a turn, man.
The old back to basics Shaper rig deck.
Riddle me this.
Yes, Tim.
Okay. Rachel Beckman with Josh B.
Yeah.
With All-Nighters.
Yes. You get 1 turn. Super turn.
But you were playing Noise.
Yeah.
And you Duggars for your first 4. Then you mass install 3 times.
Oof. I don't know.
9 viruses, 1 turn?
Yeah.
Huh? Thoughts?
It's not going to be good. It's going to be very bad.
Thoughts?
But about Rachel, I think you get the click the second you play her, which is good. So she recovers a little bit of everything. I would go you 1 further on clicks, and I would say that the number of clicks is exponentially beneficial or non-beneficial to you. So that like the 4th click isn't as valuable as the 5th click. I think the 5th click is more valuable than 4th click, which is more valuable than 3rd click, which is more valuable than 2. Because when I'm running Wild Side, 3 clicks is infinitely less valuable than 4, and it's not static valuation. It's like the 4th click opens up this amount of plays that you're incapable of making. Install night, click night, run. It's something that you can't do with 3 clicks. 5 clicks, what does 5 clicks open up? Is that, trash 4 things, run archives, so you get an extra access. And then when my brain goes to that, it's like the most ways I can think to abuse this card tags me. It's like data link reversal. It's vamp keyhole. It's those kinds of actions that...
I'm more thinking along the lines of like benefits of successful runs, right? Like Desperado triggering extra times, or data suckers getting extra counters.
Or 3 steps ahead.
That is true. 3 steps ahead is true.
Where do you come with these cards?
3 steps ahead is a real card.
In here.
You play it, and then every successful run you get 2 credits.
Okay, yeah, exactly what he said. Because you said it. But I mean, if you have like 2 data suckers and a Desperado
Security testing.
And again, this fits into that, I think, Kate deck that may or may not be running Magnum Opus anyway, where even with Opus, just a couple turns of 5-click Opuses is... Yeah. She pays back really quick. Especially, how many times do you see 2 data suckers and a Desperado out, and it's just like...
Never? Wait. All the
time. So it's just like, you hit Archives 5 times, you wouldn't do it 5, you do it like 3, and then you'd actually do stuff with the other 2. But so many just... That's really what it does. Like, all that, I can't run on this click because it's my last click. Yeah. It's suddenly not your last click anymore.
And she's a connection, so you can put one of in the deck with hostages and reliably get her if she's a part of your strategy.
I'm going to put Rachel squarely into someone's going to run this at some point, and I'm going to be like, aha.
I think if we see breaking news, I think if we see NEH and NBN kind of calm down off of the Astro high that it's on currently, then this could very easily be a strong meta call, strong card.
I think that this card also, it works because you don't have to play it against NBN. Like,
yeah, it's true.
It's really good against HP.
It's so good against HP.
It's really good against HP. It's okay against HP. Weyland, whatever.
I think it's nice against Weyland. You have that extra click.
Right. It's fine. And then it's good against Jinteki because you have another click to draw cards or whatever you need to do. Or against RP, it just saves you that. Anyway.
Yeah.
The only bad matchup for it right now, is NBN.
That happens to be.
And it happens to be really
the most prominent deck in the meta.
But that won't always be the case, as you said, and as you're alluding to here. So Rachel Beckman is a pretty cool little resource.
Spicy.
Cool
She's
connection.
A cool little chick.
Definitely something to keep an eye on, and I think there will be those kinds of players that are going to like Rachel in most of their decks, and there will be those kind of players that will never touch Rachel because they feel like she's too risky. But I think both ways are perfectly reasonable, and the meta will kind of decide how risky she is.
Yep.
All right, guys, there we have it. I think First Contact is a bomb pack. I think this is ludicrous. Not ludicrous bad or ludicrous...
like ludicrously lots of useful cards.
It's just really... It feels really balanced. It feels really well-rounded. It feels well-designed, well thought out, well put together. A lot of cards I'm just super excited to use and to see and to play against. What more can you say, right?
It's really what you want. Say?
Well, guys, then there is the review of First Contact from us here at Team Covenant. And we really appreciate you watching. If you want to support these kinds of unboxings, then you can either buy the pack from our store, which is awesome, because you get the cards, which is a huge win. Or if you have a local store or otherwise disinterested, then we do have a fan funding option on this channel, which is a new thing for us. It's in the top left corner of this video right now, and if you click that, you can donate anywhere from $1 to millions.
Preferably millions.
So that's a great option too. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys at Worlds. If you're there, stop by and say hi, and we'll hang out.
See you guys later.